that right out of the way. Okay. Whoops. Oh, where are you going? This is terrible light. A bit better? Okay, I'm going to try and invite Frank on. What does he say? Oh, this is Seeking Truth with Frank and Fraser. Soon to be both here. Just got to send a quick message for Frank. See what happens here. Oh no, I lost my screen. There I am. Oh yeah, Frank is watching.
I love that hat.
You like?
Hey, Fraser, what's going on?
Pretty good. This is what I'm telling. I told you, Alberta is Texas North, eh? Oh, I forgot my earphone.
Yeah. Yeah, you took me a little bit by surprise, but I like the hat.
I was actually at a
Wait, hold on
party
a
tonight
second.
with
Sean said no
Frank.
glasses, so oh, you're breaking up.
You hear me
Not
now?
all I see is you.
I just had to do a little different of a setup tonight, so I'm in a different room so as not to disturb the little one sleeping. I'm just
Oh,
piling stuff up here trying to do it. Okay, this light is terrible, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the head off. But we're at a party tonight, and so not dressed up, but this is my fancy clothes, you see. Is that better? Anyways, I
I'm
got bad
surprised you
light.
would do this at. Hey, switch my camera over. I'm surprised you would do this at a party. I thought you'd be home doing this.
Oh no, we're at home now. No, I got home.
Oh, okay, okay.
I had to carry the little one. He was fast asleep. Carried him up and then got all
Oh,
settled and stuff. No, we're at home now, but I just had to get into a different room so I didn't wake him up like last night.
okay, put no. There's something
Yeah,
bright. Okay, that's good. But yeah, I got the
yeah.
TV monitor on my face, so that says the lights in here are burning out. So if you want to
It's
see
tr-
me, there you go.
I forgot to bring extra lights, but I'm gonna see what I can do to.
Uh,
Uh,
all right. Well, before you bring up any topics, I just want to tell you I got a little bit of update on my brother, if you don't mind. Is that
Please,
okay with
yeah.
you?
I'm just gonna try and get some
Okay,
light. No,
great.
I actually don't have topics. I'm trying to get some light here. But yeah, go ahead, please.
All
An
right.
update
So
would be
all right.
good.
So he's got two more surgeries to face. He still has an open wound on his leg because of the pressure. I don't know if you ever have heard about compartment syndrome. It's pressure in a place that's been traumatized. It happens in your head, on your brain. Of course, your skull can't expand to relieve the pressure. People get it in their stomachs when they have trauma. Any point, it's compartmentalized, meaning they can get it in your arm, your leg, your stomach, in any part of your body. So, if you ever seen people that have an open wound on their stomach with just plastic covering the wound, it's compartment syndrome, and they're trying to relieve the pressure so they can sew them back together. So it's basically what it is. He's
I
got an open wound on his leg. So he
I've
faces two
heard
more
about that.
operations for that.
Yeah. Oh, two more still. But basically,
Two
it's
more
a
still,
the
right?
pressure thing. It's the pressure thing now, right? That's what these
No,
ones
well,
are
it's been
about.
a pressure thing. So that's why he's in ICU. That's
Hmm.
why he's got two more operations, because when you traumatize part of your body, it just reacts by increasing the pressure to whatever is traumatized.
Mm,
So, and when you break a bone, it's very traumatic to the body, very traumatic.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
but the good news is, doctor says he's healing very, very fast.
Mm,
Probably faster than
that's
most people are. They had him walking today, and I don't know if you saw that
good.
he had the cage attached to his leg. It's
I
attached
didn't
to the
see a
bone
picture
to
of
his
that. I
thigh. Right. I
I
didn't see.
heard
I'll
that
send
though.
pictures in the group chat. But
Okay.
he's got the
Awesome.
cage connected to his thigh and his calf, and the screws are attached to the bone. That's very, very painful. But he was able to walk. He took a few steps. The therapist was
Good.
surprised about that. So he's in a lot less pain. So he's doing good. So pray he does better. So I'm a little more relieved today.
Yeah, because the pain can really slow you down. Like as if you can get through
Yeah.
that and like have be strong enough to fight through that pain, because obviously, like you say, it bolts right into the bone. then that's
Well,
how you get
the next,
healed, right?
yeah,
But not stay lying down. You got to move through, and the pain
right.
can stop you for sure.
The
Yikes.
next operation, I think, is to close the wound, and they're gonna wait another couple of days, and they're gonna actually mend and set the bone. So
So
he'll
he's
be in a
walking
cast
around
after
with
that.
like he's like walking around with an open wound there.
Kinda, yeah.
Gross.
I know
I
it doesn't sound right, right? But
but you got to keep it
yeah.
open. No, like you say those things, and I've kind of heard about it when it's like in your brain, right? It expands and they drill holes in your brain or in your
So they
skull. I
actually
mean,
remove part of your skull. They probably remove part of your skull in order to let the brain
remove it so
expand.
and so
Yeah,
because obviously like pressure can't happen, but it can happen anywhere on your body where there's just that
right.
pressure building up.
Anywhere there's a
And
traumatic injury, pressure will build. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's tough. But it's good. Like again, good
Look it up.
news that he's healing fast. Yeah, compartment,
Yeah.
compartment,
Thank
compartment
God.
syndrome. No, something like this. Yeah,
Compartment
yeah.
syndrome. Yeah, Google it.
No, that's good.
It's a real, and it could be a very deadly thing too, because like it depends on where it is too. Like in not the extremity so much, but in the torso and the brain, it could be very deadly.
Well, anywhere, like even you just say the words open wound, it doesn't really matter where on the body. That's
Well,
kind of,
no,
I don't know. In
no,
my
the
mind, that's kind
compartment
of
syndrome is
serious.
not no
No,
Fraser.
but the
Compartment
scary
syndrome is not
part
an
is
open wound,
leaving it open.
but
Yeah,
they have to leave it open in order to let the pressure relieve. So that's the reason.
yeah.
If they don't open it, the pressure gets too much, and you can actually lose muscle tissue through necrosis, meaning that the tissue won't get enough blood because the pressure is too much for the body to handle. So
Oh,
he
it's
did
like
suffer some
cutting off.
necrotic tissue.
Yeah. Okay.
So he lost
Yeah,
part
because
of his
it
calf
like
muscle. I don't know how much, but
because it blocks off the blood or something, all the pressure.
yeah,
I don't
right,
know.
right. Because when
Okay.
tissues expand, you're closing off blood vessels, so it
Hmm.
impedes blood flow. So
It's
that
amazing how
and
quick.
body parts lose
Yeah.
sorry.
I was gonna say it's amazing how quick you become an expert of these things when it happens to you. Now all of a sudden, like it's like
Yeah.
you are like
No,
the
because
new
I like
compartment.
to learn.
Yeah,
Right, I
yeah.
like to learn about these things. So as soon as I hear something, I look it up. And the worst part too is that when you break a bone, the bone marrow is exposed to the circulation system, and that can get into your bloodstream and cause a fatty embolism and death. That was my
Oh,
biggest fear. Yeah, that was
yeah.
my biggest fear.
Oh,
It's
like
prevalent with
oh, because
people who
something
need
goes in the.
emergency amputations. Right. Have you ever heard of people with emergency amputations dying really quick? It's because they had a
Mhm.
fatty embolism, and it just breaks off from the bone marrow, gets into your blood, and it gets you hard of your lungs and kills you pretty quick.
So it's not
Yeah,
a piece of bone;
right.
it's a piece of fat. It's like a big chunk
It's
of.
fat,
Oh,
right? It's called a
because you think
fatty
about like a
embolism.
shard of bone, but it's
Right,
not even that, and
right, right.
it'll
No,
knock you
no, the
right down
fat is
right
probably
away.
the worst part. Yeah, right, because
Isn't that
it's not a
crazy?
soluble
But
fat. It
it's
just
because
yeah,
of the
right,
bone. It's because of the broken part,
right,
right?
because marrow, right, because right, and the marrow is exposed to the bloodstream. It could leak out and cause a fatty embolism.
Oh, that's just. Oh
I
yeah, yeah.
know
But anyways,
that
we're
was the
past that.
scariest thing to me.
But we're like past that window of where that could have happened. Is that what you're
Oh
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah,
a
yeah,
week now.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
5 days happened in the 22nd, so we're 5 days. It would have happened in a couple of
Okay.
hours.
Okay, that's the and okay. I see. It's like the initial shock or the initial thing. Yeah.
Right. It's the initial wound. Right, right.
Okay. Well,
So it might
okay.
not be a
Anyways,
clean break. It might just be like a splinter or something. But still, even that it's a traumatic. It's a traumatic injury.
it can cause these things. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, but he
I didn't
lost a bit.
know.
Yeah. No, that's it. Like I say, and now I've learned a lot about these things too. It's
Right. I'm
terrible
not
that
a
you have to
doctor,
live
but I
in
should have
your.
been. Jeez.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like if you can focus that, like you say that not that willing that ability just to learn and absorb those facts, like you say you focus on
Right.
anything. Then again, me, yeah, those doctors things, but those are words that are like this. Well, I say this long, this long.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
what
Right.
got me memorizing that stuff. Holy smack!
Well,
But like if you
one of
have the
my
capacity, yeah, yeah.
speaking of my friend broke her wrist, I took her to the doctor,
Mhm.
and he was teaching me about different positions in the body. Two positions,
Mhm.
supinate and pronate. You sit prone or you lay prone and you lay supinate. So he says the difference is between supinate is supinate is when you hold your hand up like you're holding a bowl of soup, supinate, and this is prone, face
Okay.
down. So I never forgot that.
It's
So
just how to
it's
remember it, yeah. It's just the one little thing,
I
and
never
that's
forgot
yeah.
that. It's over 10 years ago, so I never forgot.
It's, no, that's it. And that's no, but there you go. Well, not there you go. We're thinking about future careers for you, doctor. That's right. That's
Yeah,
long
right. I'm
hours.
45 years old and I'm way past that now.
No, that's it. But now we're gonna figure out something. It's gonna be well. This is just it. This is like seeking truth, finding Frank and Fraser. Like I'm trying to find myself. What am I good at?
Oh, that's right.
So just,
Yeah.
but it's not all. But anyways, no, but definitely. Anyways, whatever we do, we'll just use your thing for that too. It's like like a lot of things. I'm like, hey, what
Yeah.
about this? And you have these facts, like you say, stashed away
I'm
somewhere, so you
sorry.
don't have to be. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's like a little compartment with these useless facts that have nothing, had nothing to do with daily life. I just remember this stupid trivia, and
Yeah.
it doesn't, and it hasn't
Oh, there's
benefited me any. So.
one
Oh,
day,
by the
one
way,
day, one day. Yeah.
last night, Fraser was very cathartic. I felt so much better after I talked with you. So
You
thank
did?
you.
Okay, that's good. You're very welcome. Yeah, no, like I say, it can be a regular thing. Like, I don't know if it'll be always at midnight, but we can sort of try and do
Well,
that. Like you say, keep that daily thing, going
well, this was
as
unexpected,
well we
wasn't it?
can, Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
unexpected.
I think for
I'm
the next couple of days, we're Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think the next couple of days it might work out if you have time for like a late night kind of thing like this.
Sunday probably not. I'll be at my aunt's house, but tomorrow, yeah.
Saturday can work out. Okay, well we can pre-schedule
Because
a
I go
thing
to
later.
mass and I go to my aunt's.
Do you get up early on Sunday? Like, should it be not too late on
No,
Saturday?
we have a 5 o'clock mass where I am.
That's it.
So, so
There's-
5 p.m. mass, and I go to my aunt's house at 6.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well then Saturday night that's workout. Okay, then but no, did you have anything you want to talk about tonight? I didn't really write much down.
No, I thought you're the one started the thing, so I figured you're the one that gonna have a topic. Uh,
Well, and now I've turned my phone around to put my light on, but I think I can take this one off. Okay, well no, there was just a few of those things that started. I thought I was looking back on them really quick here now. I'm just trying to think what they were. Let's see, it was probably open um, in the threads that came out there. Corporate fasts, sponsored fasts. They
yeah,
came out
right.
very
That was my
recently.
joke. Yeah,
That's
what the
it.
hell, Sean? Please explain what a corporate fast is, because I have no clue. I was
Right?
confused when you first put that there.
Yeah, but it's something to do with the church.
Yeah, I
So
know, and that's really strange.
corporate. But why is it
I never heard
corporate?
of a corporate fast before.
No. But what about that's what I was curious about. I was like, really? Like Christians, I know kind of about Lent, but that's not really fasting, but more like well, maybe you could
It's
explain
more
it
of
more
something that you give
reserving.
up. Yeah.
But
Well, in Lent,
yeah.
Catholics usually give up something for 40 days before Easter. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Mm.
it's not really 40 days, actually 48. So, they say you can cheat on Sundays. I don't believe that.
But that's not just food. That's just sort of anything that you
Some
feel
people do
is.
give up. Like 1 year, I gave up watching The Walking Dead because I really was
Mhm.
into it. I didn't, I figured that's a good sacrifice for me. And it turns out it started getting really bad. I stopped watching it. So it was, I don't know how much of a sacrifice that was, but well, at the
But
time it was.
it's like something you feel like it's like a
Well,
luxury,
some
and
people give up
something
food.
you really
Yeah,
like.
luxury. Like some people give up drinking. Some people give up chocolate. You give up a certain type of food. Anything that would be a
Hmm.
sacrifice for you for 40 days.
Okay, no,
It's a
no, and
it's a
that's it.
Catholic tradition. I don't think it's any part of any other
Yeah.
Christian tradition. I really don't think
And you
so.
get to no, I no, I don't remember that. Even yeah, no, and even like any kind of rules around food. Like my grandparents were, I guess, a little bit more. They were more following the things. Nothing really around
You come from a
food.
Catholic background, or is it more Protestant?
No, Protestant from Anglican.
Okay.
So. I don't know, not, I don't know. We had different denominations back home, in terms of
Oh yeah, yeah.
the, not the severity, but the severity. Like when we were talking about kids, it's like
Okay, okay.
which one of the parents is a little bit looser or whatever. Not, no, but there was like different Baptists, different, but mostly Protestant, I thought. Though recently, and it was only in the last 10 years, in the neighboring town that was a little bit bigger. Ours was only 1,000 people, so there's one school. But in the neighboring town, where there's now
Yeah.
two schools, one is Catholic and one is public. Well, they're both like even the Catholic systems in Canada or the Catholic school system, it's public,
The public?
but
Okay.
it's also kind of Catholic. So there's always two public school systems. Anyways, I didn't know there was enough Catholics in the region to have a Catholic school. And they opened
Neither
that,
did
and I was
I.
like,
That's right. That's interesting.
that's
Oh,
it. Like growing up, no one
it's
was really like self-identifying so blatantly that I didn't know who was Catholic. Like I knew there was some. We have some
there's
immigrants and stuff from Europe, but
there's 2.7 billion Catholics in the world, so you have to be spread around somewhere.
they're hanging out somewhere. Yeah, yeah. No, that's it.
Yeah, right. So I don't know how many Christians there are, but I know 2.7 billion Catholics.
Oh, Sean said it one night. I forgot. I meant to look it up too. Anyways,
2.1
yeah,
billion
he
Catholics.
said it.
Sorry.
2.1. Yeah, he said something in the billions too for Christians, but he might have been including Catholics too.
It might have been 2.7 billion Christians, 2.1 billion being Catholic.
That could be it. That could be it. Because you're
I can
talking
look it
about
up
like
right now.
all the,
Yeah.
well, it's like all the Spanish countries, right? And like, but a lot of African countries, it would be Protestant. No, I don't even know that. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, I've got my phone in front of me too. I
Oh,
should look up. Oh,
oh
mine is
God.
so
Okay,
slow.
religious revelation in the world, and it only gives me New York. Christianity 2.1 billion. Okay, so I don't know how many are Catholic. So Islam 1.3, non-religious 1.1, Hindu 900 million, Chinese traditional that would be Taoism 394 million, Buddhist 376 million, primal indigenous. I never heard of that before. 300 million.
That would be like primal indigenous. Like, there's
I have
definitely
never heard of that before.
spiritual, like, value systems for the Canadian, like
That'd
the
be, I would think that
Aboriginals
would be
and
more
stuff.
paganism than anything else.
Oh, 300,000 or 300 million?
Like okay, so I'm on Google right now, Wikipedia actually. So Christians
Yeah,
2.4 billion, and this is as of what 2012. So 2.4 billion Christian, 1.6 billion Muslim, 1.15 billion Hindus, 1.1 billion secular, non-religious, agnostic, atheist. Chinese traditional 394 million. Buddhist 376 ethnic, including some in separate categories 300 million. Don't know what that means. African
hmm
traditional religions 100 million. That you might that makes me thinking of these guys wearing masks banging on a drum. I'm
hmm
sorry, but that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no, it's a
Sikh
whole other
30
thing.
million. Sikhism
Oh,
30 million.
oh, dude,
Spiritism 15 million.
what's
Judaism
that?
14 million. Baha'i 7 million. Jainism
Oh,
4.2 million.
that's the Baha'i.
I have no
Jainism?
idea. It
Like
sounds
that's the
interesting. I
Jainism
don't
is
know.
like the peaceful
Jainism,
religion.
Jainism. I have no idea what that is.
I
Shin?
heard in some of the one of these discussions on YouTube, Jainism, and they were talking about a religion of peace. You can guess why that came up. But Jainism is like a
Yeah.
religion of peace where they're like, whoops, I'm out of the picture. Radically peaceful.
No, you're
In
all
that
right.
they said, and this guy he was saying, he was like, the Jains, an extreme Jain, like an extremist Jain, would be so paranoid as to be paralyzed, he says. So they don't want to step on a bug because that's violent. So
Really?
you'd
Oh,
be
that's
walking around like on tiptoes. So
that's not
basically
healthy.
they would no, not at all. They would be so peaceful that they would starve to death or something like that. Like they would obviously be
That's
vegetarians and this kind of
crazy.
thing.
Oh God.
But that's what Jainism was, according to this guy. I never. But look at that.
Yeah.
There's 4.2 million. Now maybe that's again that was some almost a comical take on them. But so I don't know that to
That's
be
a lot of
true.
people. That's a lot of
Yeah.
people, though. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go down to Shinto, 4 million. Cal Dai, 4 million. That I think there's a Japanese
Okay.
or Chinese. Zoroastrianism, 2.6 million. That is the
Oh, I
predecessor
heard
to
of it.
almost every religion. And yeah, they
That's
still got a lot of followers right now.
isn't it weird? I thought that was
Right?
almost a joke, but there's 2.6 million people. What is?
Right.
I'm gonna click on it. I'm following the same list on Wikipedia, but I'm gonna click on it.
Okay.
Zoroastrian.
I just clicked on
Zoro.
Jainism, but I want to see.
Oh yeah. Okay, maybe that's our new topic. Okay, I'll go back to Jainism too.
Okay. Yeah, we got Tenrico. If that Tenrikyo, is that the correct pronunciation? 2 million. Neo-paganism, 1 million. So that would be considered witchcraft, Satanism,
Oh,
I'm sorry, Wiccans, things like that. I consider witchcraft
wiki.
demonic, whether they say they're
Wiki.
demonic or not.
Wiki. Okay.
It's not biblical.
There's only a million
It's
of them
against
though,
God. Yeah, only a
but they
million.
talk about
United
demons.
Universalism. Yeah, United Universalism, point 0.8, and Rastafari, point 0.6. I think they worship the ganja.
Yeah, I think
Rastafari.
that's what
I'm a
I.
pastafari.
Oh,
I worship the spaghetti. They
oh,
missed
the
the joke,
spaghetti
Fraser.
monster or something, or
No,
no, the
I'm
unicorn.
pastafari. No, no, Fraser.
Pastafari.
I'm pastafari. I worship the spaghetti.
Oh,
Just
okay, okay.
spaghetti.
Oh, just
It's a
spaghetti.
joke.
Okay, okay.
You
Sorry,
missed
no,
the
no,
joke, Fraser.
I missed it. Yeah, sorry, I missed it. Because I was thinking about the flying spaghetti monster or something. No,
Yeah,
pastafari.
I know. I saw
Pastafari.
you
I
went
got
there.
you. Pastafari. Yeah.
So
All
click
right.
on
That I
so click
I
on
honestly
Jainism. I see a swastika, but it's reversed. It's
atheist.
got to be, yeah. It's got to be the Indian religion that Germany borrowed the swastika from and turned it around, made it
Which
something
one is
evil.
that? Sorry, which one? To
Jainism.
oh, that's the one. Okay, I figured. Yeah, I'll click on that
So
now.
click on that. Just
That's
click
where
on
they
that just to
got
see.
from. That's the backwards. I remember hearing the back. That's the
Germany, no, no, no.
backwards
Fraser,
UC.
Germany turned it around.
That's
Hitler
it.
turned it around. This is the
But it
original one.
and it started with
And it's
a
supposed to be a peaceful
peacock.
religion, and right. So he turned it all around and twisted it.
Did he
Right.
ever? Holy
So
shit.
this is, yeah, my mind's blown right now.
The weird kind of things that come up. Well, I'm trying to get to some principles, vegetarian lifestyle, avoids harm to animals and their life cycles. Oh wow, here's a
This is a
name.
lot to read. This is a
Parospo
lot to read.
Parosparopagroha Jivanam. It's the function of souls to
What
help
the
one
hell are you?
another. Or no, that's the function of souls is to help one another, is the motto of Jainism. The function of souls is to help one another.
That
The
sounds very
function.
peaceful.
It sounds very peaceful, but to avoid harm to all animals and their life cycles, which means basically vegan. Whoops, whoops. Oh, almost dropped it. Um,
Are you on a tablet?
no, I just got my
Fraser, you have a tablet in front of you? Oh, your phone. So what are you
phone,
using as a camera?
my old phone.
Oh,
I still
okay.
haven't upgraded. Yeah,
Oh, all
okay.
right. We
Oh
talked
yeah,
about that before. You can upgrade.
I
Depends on your
should.
carrier and what they want to do.
I looked it up, and they said I think this old phone, it was a certain brand. They said they gave a list of which phones they actually gave $100 credit for. And this old
Nice.
phone is like, I think it's called Motorola X. And they said in their list it was like Motorola X something. And I didn't know if mine was it, but definitely Motorola X is my phone. I'm like, $100 like rebate, and then you can put the rest of it as like $10 a month or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and the nice looking Samsung, again, not, it was actually the lowest one they were offering, but it was a Samsung something something. I was like,
Well, I have a
ooh,
Samsung. I have a Samsung J7. It could be the J3 they're offering you,
it was,
but
yeah,
I
I'd
don't know if
look it
that's
up, but it,
available in
it wasn't
Canada.
the fanciest one, but it was, Yeah, it might have been J
No, it's
something.
mid-range. It's mid-range. It's
It
yeah,
was
it's
range,
mid-range.
exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't need
So,
top of the line. My BlackBerry wasn't top of the line, so I don't use a
yeah,
phone for everything. I just use basic
no.
use.
Oh yeah, and I remember our conversation still, and that was it. It was like, don't go to for fancy thing. You don't need the thumbprint pay system or whatever it is.
Right, right.
What I need is just like a decent camera and that I can download. Like there's certain applications that I want on my phone, and
Oh
neither of
yeah.
my
Well,
phones they
you
would like it says your version your device is not compatible with this version. They're so old, my phones won't take like I want to get this onto job search, so I want to get LinkedIn. My device is
Oh
too old
yeah,
for
right.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
I had that problem
wow,
with
I am
BlackBerry too.
a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur.
I had that
Yeah.
problem with BlackBerry too. I couldn't get anything. Now you get the Samsung. You have the it's Google based, so you got the Google Store now, and you get
Um,
every app there is. And you need
yep.
anything, they got it. The only thing
Yep.
is though, if you need, like we talked about this before, you need the extra storage by a memory card. They don't come with a lot of
Mhm.
built-in memory. So
Yes, I remember that too. It has to be
yeah,
expandable. Yes, that's going to be like primary, total primary thing. I don't know why they would make a phone otherwise. It's just it's
Apple
dumb.
doesn't. It's ridiculous. I don't really like it. We're gonna go back into this now one. Yeah, but
It's expandable memory.
You buy
Yeah.
an Apple with 16 gig. That's it. You're stuck at 16 gig. You can't
Yeah.
expand it.
Yeah.
See, my phone I bought is 16 gig, but I have an 8 gig memory card in it, and I haven't
Mhm.
used even half of it yet. I
Yeah.
don't use a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
memory, so
I'd say expandable, but I don't know if I really need like 100 terabytes or whatever. But
no, you don't.
it's,
No, you don't. And,
but I,
most people,
yeah.
most people use 32 gigs unless they're like a YouTuber or like Sean. He would use a lot of apps or something for that.
Oh
Like
yeah.
if he uses his phone primarily to record for YouTube, you'd need a
Mhm.
lot of memory
Mhm.
for that. But
It's
guys like us, we're using Facebook Live. We're not really doing anything fancy. You don't need a lot.
no, no, and that's true. I don't, and I shouldn't, but yeah, no, and actually, and what I'm like, actually, I can do everything I want to do. Like, I complain, but we're doing this right now, so I can do that. There was one other thing,
Right.
like for Messenger, when I'm typing Messenger, and it's just been happening for the last couple weeks, but it'll freeze. So and a couple times I'll be like writing a really long text, getting in like, my text sometimes it'd be like
Yeah.
4 paragraphs in, and it would
Right.
freeze. It'd be
You're
like,
very verbose.
no, that sucks. I just wrote 4 paragraphs. It froze and crashed. And I was really like, man, I really need a new phone because this is really, I'm losing good thoughts. But then I would always go back and write it one paragraph at a time, simplify. And every time that happened, I would actually realize like, oh, those are really, this I didn't need to say, that I didn't need to say, and it simplified it down. So it was almost like, and we'll get back into that whole Holy Spirit thing. It was like, wait, maybe this is a way, like exactly he says, I'm verbose and too verbose. So it was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's obviously not the Holy Spirit crashing messenger, but that kind of thing. It was just, messenger was
Well, no,
crashing,
I
and I
understand
actually
where you're
thought,
coming from, Fraser. I have a friend with ADD or
yeah,
ADHD, and
yeah,
they talk, 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 talk. They'll reiterate one sentiment like 10 times. And
yeah,
I'm like, okay, I got like the first seven. You got the last three were okay. Yeah. So no, I understand. It's.
yeah.
I'm not making fun of you, trust me, but I
No,
understand that it's some people are like that. They just want to really
yeah,
over-explain themselves. Not over-explain, but no, it's good because if you get your thought out in like five different ways, I really can't do that sometimes. I envy you sometimes because you can. It's good that you can explain yourself very well. I normally can't sometimes. You see me, I stumble on words. I get tripped up. And my thoughts are kind of broken up too sometimes. So, and I understand that, being verbose sometimes is good.
it can be good, but no, to be too much, so you say it five different ways, and by that time the other person is asleep,
I
or they're so
sleep, yeah.
frustrated that they didn't get a word in that the message is lost, then the conversation is
Oh,
lost. And so it's about brevity. And so when this came up, No, so I say it like I appreciate like when you say something, it's like I understand what he says and he responds, but in one sentence and not five, or with
Yeah,
one
I
and
tend
not
to be,
five.
I tend to be the opposite. I tend to, well,
That's it.
I'm very short, concise, but I get my point out pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know,
And we'll get to like
I
again
don't
how to
overthink.
clarify. Yeah. But then this whole thing about like again, I say it like the Holy Spirit, but it's maybe it's not that. It's me really just realizing. So it's not like again the in my mind, and we were talking about that before. In my mind, or we were interventionist God, and my God is less interventionist, like actually like again crashing Messenger. I don't think that he's doing that. But Messenger is
No.
crashing. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking like maybe I should pay attention to repeating myself too many times. And so while I thought, oh, I need to get a new phone, then this thought came in that, oh no, maybe this could be a good thing. And again, since a couple of weeks, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with this. Keep it simple because it's going to crash and I'm going to lose my idea if I write it too long. So again,
Right.
not that I don't know how the Holy Spirit fits into this, but it's just again when those decisions come up, then this is actually really good for me
Well,
that
the Holy
Messenger is
Spirit doesn't.
crashing. You
Well, the
know?
Holy Spirit doesn't always give you ideas or something to say. The Holy Spirit could guide you into doing an action. So maybe crashing your messenger could guide you to go and get a new phone, and you won't crash again. It's a little subtle. It's um not as open or in your face as it would be. It's like we said
Yeah.
last night. It's like these little stumbling blocks that
Yeah.
guide us into the right direction, right? So like the Holy Spirit puts a God, well, God, Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ, puts this little stumbling block in front of you. They say,
Hmm.
Fraser, go get another phone. Go tomorrow. You need
Yeah.
this, so you get your thoughts out. You maybe do a better podcast. Maybe it's for your own satisfaction that you have something a little more updated and a little more reliable.
Hmm.
It's things like that.
But in this case, it's almost like the opposite. Like I had that thought, and now it's like these other thoughts coming in. Like, you know what? This is actually all you
But
need.
that's
It's good enough. You're getting away. Like I can say
well, that's
LinkedIn with
right.
this thing. LinkedIn isn't actually going to get me a job. That's just a, maybe it's saying
Social
simplify your
media is
life
not going to get you
down.
anything.
That's it. It's starting saying like, I can do this Facebook Live with this old phone. Maybe all these old things and the crashing, that's a good thing. Whereas, again, the crash, in my mind, like you say, it's subtle because I believe that I could go into my phone and the program and bug it out and say, oh, no, look, this is the cause. Obviously not Holy Spirit. It's because there's a droplet of water there. So
Yeah,
while
yeah.
it happens and it helps me, it's almost so subtle that you couldn't find it on like a, a reading. Like if you're measuring every single measurable in the whole universe, you still couldn't catch that. Oops, maybe that's the Holy Spirit acting. You see what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
see, no, that program
Well, you
bugged
got
out
your own.
in a totally logical way, and yet it
Well,
helped me. So how that rock is in my mind is more like looking like there's just maybe it's a little brighter over here than over there, but both things are just happening anyways because of
well, Fraser,
natural
we can
law.
have our own doubts too. We put our own doubts when we see or hear something, and we're supposed to be guided. Like you had your like when you told me you had your doubts about doing this class. So
Hmm.
you talked to me, and I don't know if I guided you in the right direction, but I had a little more clarity on what you should do.
Hmm.
I hope I didn't ruin your life, but
Oh,
like that
can I give
stumbling
you an
block was
update?
there.
Yeah, go ahead,
What?
please go ahead. Finish your
That
thought. I
stumbling
have.
block was okay. That stumbling block was there for you. So, guided by something, you asked me for advice. I hope I gave
Mhm.
you the right advice. But, it's that pair that you had your decision, I think, before you asked me. You just wanted some type of confirmation, I
Mhm.
believe, anyway.
Oh yeah, and
So,
there's a big part of that. Yeah, that I asked
so
you.
then just using that as an example, not, not when
Yeah.
we're not going to explain that too in depth, but, like that little push
No,
that you
it,
needed to,
it is.
to find what you wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it too. Like, and it gets to even in that situation, what would if there was not if we step back a bit, if there's a Holy Spirit, how would he act in that situation of I need to know something about say job advice, and you have the advice that's necessary for me, say, would would the Holy Spirit be acting on you to tell me the right words? Whereas in my mind, if it's actually acting, it's acting on me to ask the question to the right person,
Well,
right? Like it's my Holy Spirit.
that well,
It's my Holy
it's
Spirit,
both
but it's
things.
my message.
You know,
You think it's both things? Okay, go
Fraser,
ahead.
it's actually it can be both things. So you have a question for someone that the Holy Spirit will guide you to ask, and the Holy Spirit might have guided me to answer your question correctly, not the way you wanted it answered, but a correct answer. So
Hmm.
it's not guidance. It's subtle guidance that you get. It's not
Yeah.
overt. It's not in your face. It's these little hints.
Okay, yeah. So maybe I didn't give you the update on that whole story.
Oh no,
So
you
since
didn't. So please.
so yeah, since then, because I applied and then I decided to drop out of the class I was in, then my employer found out and they fired me. So
Oh
like today
no.
was my last day. I'm joking. Fuck, I'm joking. I'm sorry.
Oh God, you Fraser. Oh my God. I just messed my pants.
Sorry. I'm
I just
sorry.
had a constitution.
You like that? I can let you clean it up, or you take care of that later.
No, I'm
No.
kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
No, the real story is that I was like humming and hawing, and I called up the registrar, like the person who's or the I guess it's the office who's responsible to people registering and stuff. I don't know why I said all that, but anyways, the registrar's office. Um, and just to get the details, I kind of looked up online how to drop a course just to make sure I do it properly because you're supposed to do it online, but I don't want to miss a step and accidentally, have to pay all
Yeah,
the fees
right.
anyways. So I call in, I says like, just clarifying, making sure I do this right. Unfortunately, I'm going to drop this class, but still thinking about taking it next fall perhaps, or taking a like upgrading till next fall.
That was my
Um,
advice. The upgraded class. Yeah.
that's it. And so she's like, yeah, no, there's no problem. That works. March is the deadline for the upgrade for the fall thing. And then it comes up. And so there's no new news and it was all easy enough to do. And there was no like hard feelings it was. And then it comes up, oh, by the way, it's like when you're signed up, like you paid your $100 sign up fee or whatever. Now you've signed up for a course. To drop the course, you have to pay $20. And we're talking Canadian money, so that's like $10 American. No.
Well, I thought
But
it's you.
but
You guys. All right. Well, we'll get into that in a
but
little bit.
wait, the
But
last point is the best part because
okay.
so I'm not in the course anymore, but I remain a student for 3 sessions, so a full year. So basically,
Wow.
even though I dropped out of the course, I can still show up to all of the soirees, all that sort of thing, as a student
Like being
without
a
having
student
to pay
without
the
being
whole
able to
fee,
study. You don't have to. You
without
can be a
having to
student
pay
and
the
not study.
That's it. And it's like, wait, the whole thing was the professional, or a big part of it was the professional networking. But I don't actually lose that part. And so that was the beauty of it. It's like,
Oh,
okay,
that's
well, the course
fantastic.
wasn't actually giving me anything. And I don't have to, by dropping the course, which I thought I was dropping the two at the same time, it's like, too bad I have to drop the whole professional network. But actually, I dropped the course, but I keep the professional network. So in the end,
Oh,
I
that
would have
worked out even better than you
wasting
thought
my
it was
money
gonna.
even better than I thought, right? So,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
sorry about the,
fantastic.
right? It worked out even better than,
Oh,
like, I
thank
didn't
God.
even realize that, right? So, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you there, but
Wow.
it
No,
worked
no,
out super,
no.
right?
No, I'm very happy. Wow, I'm very, very happy for you.
Right?
Good.
No, that's good. And so
Wow.
it moves things forward. Like, again, I thought I would have to kind of slow the transition to Montreal, whereas, no, it moves it forward, and I don't have to be distracted by a class that would have been below my level, like really not a waste of my time, but not an optimal use of my time. So yeah, yeah, no, it worked out. Like I say, Frank's Jobs Advice. That's what you should open, a new store called Frank's Job
Yeah,
Advice,
right.
career
I'm
advice.
the worst person to ask for that. Please.
I'm telling
I'm the worst.
you,
I'm
I'll
the
be your
worst.
first. I'll be your first. How would you say it? The witness? No, there was like a witness statement on
I
the website, or reviews. It's
I
like,
worked
no,
a total
Frank,
of
you
seven
couldn't
days.
have made
My
it better.
just to add,
Yeah.
I worked a total of 7 days my entire life. Once at a gas station, where I had to stand for 12 hours. My
Oh
feet hurt
God.
for 2 weeks after that.
Oh God.
That's not
Yeah.
normal foot pain. That's not what normal people experience. Usually,
Yeah.
usually they wake up
Oh,
with that the pain's gone. No, mine stayed for 2 weeks. I couldn't
two
work.
weeks. No, no,
And
that's
being
not fun.
diabetic,
Yeah.
being diabetic too, if I get any blisters or any sores on my feet, they can become, I can get an amputation basically. They can become infected,
Yeah.
not being able to close, ulcerated. That's a big, that's big. Diabetic foot disease is big,
It's
and it's
big.
a
No,
huge
it's for
problem.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met
Circulation and all
someone
that.
who had no. I met someone in the hospital. My grandfather was in the hospital. He was in the bed next to me, next to him, and he had an open ulcer on his foot, on the sole of his foot, that was oozing for, I want to say, 2 months. Wouldn't close. Yeah, I mean it gets bad.
Mm.
So I have to,
Yeah.
it's a thing.
No,
Should I go on disability? Should I get a job and risk my health? Can I do it? It's a terrible thing to have to weigh, and you only get this one life. You can't ruin it by ruining your health for a
no,
job.
and that's not worth
You
it.
know,
No, and because and for a job like a job like that, which is obviously well below your level, where it would
you
just be
know,
unsatisfying every day. You would just be going there
I
like,
studied auto
okay, someone
mechanics, so
just,
it's not below my
you know.
level.
No,
I
but I
studied
mean,
auto mechanics. I was
no,
supposed to be a mechanic, but
but I mean, just
they
if you're gonna be standing there at like, just doing something monotonous, I just think that maybe your brain needs a little bit more stimulation than that. And day in and day out of that, it
yeah,
would
right,
be
right.
like, as not soul like in the soul sense, but soul crushing in the sense that it would just be like so depressing to have to do something like this. But no, to talk about doctor, it made me think there's like these online doctors now, and that's all they do is do web consultation by Skype.
Oh,
You hear
please.
about these guys, yeah? Oh, which is silly, but I'm saying that Frank can now have a full-time job in his home, just as
Yeah,
you are now, and that's the
yeah.
beauty of this
I'll be a
online stuff.
consultant for WebMD.
Well, it's not going to be WebMD, but it's going to be like what could you consultant for? Because
Oh
basically,
God, nothing.
because this is it. Like, and I keep saying to this people, you don't need a piece of paper to say that you're good at something. You just need to show people you're good at something. And that does count for something. So again, like if you wanted to be, well, obviously a doctor is something different because you have to be a part of the order or whatever. But if it's like, and this is a bad example, but there's so many people
Well,
I
what
hear,
if
they're
if you're a welder
financial
or something?
advisors. No, but like
Well, no. How
financial
about we go into business?
advisors.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Eh?
a financial
But
advisor is very vague because you can do a lot with that. But like you, let's get a specific talent, like being a welder, and we'll take that.
mm,
You can say you're the best welder, but if your welds
mhm,
are garbage, they're not going to hire you. You can be
yeah,
the worst welder, so we'll hire you. They're going to see that you're not good. You get fired again. But if you're a good welder and you can prove it, you have this talent set. You don't need this piece of paper saying I can weld.
hmm,
Just do the
that's
welds.
it.
And I know a lot of self-taught people who taught themselves how to weld and are good. They don't need to go. They didn't need to go to school to do that,
hmm
and
That's
they're professionals doing just welding. So
That's it. No, and absolutely. When you have something like that and you can show it right now, like just say like do welding, and I remember welding, and I'm not that great at welding, but those overhead
I
welds,
wish I
and
knew.
say, okay, do me
Yeah.
an overhead weld like this. Hey, you can do that. You got my you got my approval. But I'm thinking about, and I say financial advisor just because it's an example of something that, and I think that it's the same. Like financial advice, there's a million financial advisors. That's just the way it is because people always say, I can choose you the best investment. But if you truly can, and it's something that you can learn from home, tickety tack, watch these things. Again, you have to be interested in the numbers and the whole formulas and
Yeah.
what do they call them? But then you could actually get to be good at financial advice, right? Which is something, and I've done this before, where you've played the financial market with paper money, which basically it's just imaginary money. You just say today, I
Okay.
just bought $10,000 worth of stock in this, and just watch it and say, tuck, 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 boom, your model works, right? And now,
Yeah.
again, once you can prove that model to work to someone and say, look, like I don't have a cent in my pocket, but I've got a system that can run your money up by 10%, 20%, or whatever it is. And it's not easy. Trust me, I studied in finance. It's not easy to do, but it's just an
Oh no, I
example of
know.
one of
Yeah.
those ones where it's like the welding. If you can prove it, then someone will buy it. And it's one of those ones that can be done, like again, from your desktop, as it were. So, like I say, and it requires a lot of like remembering shit like this company is doing that and this type of commodity is coming up. Therefore, like I remember. Anyway, I'll stop there. But you see what I'm saying? There's these type of
Yeah.
jobs.
No, I understand. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's some jobs that you need a piece of paper for to prove that you have this talent. Being you
Hmm.
mentioned doctor for one. That's you need a piece of paper for that. It's
Hmm.
people's lives are on the line. But being a welder, you
Hmm.
don't need a piece of paper to prove you're a good
Yeah.
welder.
Yeah.
Financial advisor, I would say that's iffy because, like you said, there's a million financial advisors, but they don't have to give the best advice and they charge you for it. So if I make 20
That's it.
bucks every person that comes in, I give them bad financial advice. They keep coming back to me. I'm still making money, but I'm crap at it. you know?
Yeah. Well, and when you're good at it, they'll tell their brother and their mother, and that's the thing. But yeah, no, any game you get into, it's gonna be like that. Like you gotta first get them into the door. And I think like you can give if you got a steady stream of people and you never see the same person twice, and you give them a crap product, sure you'll never see them again same twice because of that crap product. But it's like a bad business model. You're much better to
Yeah,
give
right.
good product because eventually that lineup
Well,
of
there are
people is
people
going to
like
dry
that.
up, and you need people to start coming back. Yeah, there
Oh,
are
now we're
people that do
talking
that.
about
Yeah.
fraud now. I'm a financial
Oh God.
advisor. Here's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You see 20 people, then you pack up and you go and you move somewhere else.
Oh, you guys know
It's,
that.
there's
What's that
always
guy's
there's
name?
always fraud everywhere.
Madoff? I
I
don't know.
want to
We
get
always hear about those ones in the state. Yeah, financial fraud. Yeah.
I want to get into Canadian money right now because that's kind of interesting to me. I've never seen
Hmm.
Canadian money in hand, the paper money. I know you have something called a toonie.
Yeah, the
That's right,
toonie.
toonie.
The
Okay,
most,
it's a coin.
the loonie is a coin too. You know
Oh,
the
the
loonie?
loonie.
That's a $1 coin, and the
Okay, I
toonie
heard
is
of
the $2
toonie.
coin.
Okay, all right. So loony and toonie.
Stupidest
Okay, that's
names
that's
in the
gonna make me
world.
loony. But
I
all
I
right,
remember
so
when
like
they
twenty
named that,
dollars
and I was like,
In Canada.
I
I
don't. I was like, I was gonna pull it, so I have no money.
well, I
It's
know
kind
you
of like,
guys don't pay income tax like we do. You don't pay any income tax. Your taxes are paid when you pay for something. What? Am I
oh,
wrong?
sometimes no, we pay both. We pay both.
Oh, you do?
They
Oh, okay.
they take off a good chunk from the check, like 30% or something.
Wow.
But over a certain level, like I think you have to make like 20,000 or 25,000 before they'll
That's
start
still not
charging
a
you
lot.
tax.
That's still not a lot.
No, and then they'll start charging. Yeah, exactly. And then they start charging a bit and a bit, and then once you get up to certain level, then it gets up to 30% or something. But you have to be making a pretty good amount, I think, until you get 30%. Might go
So
up to.
my brother makes way more, a little more than that, and he pays 16% before the Trump tax cuts. We
16%.
thought that was a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we also pay um, sales tax and other stuff. So they take our money as they give it to us, and they take it again as you buy something.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
that
want to know
always
how that
happens.
works in Canada. So like, what's the
Yeah,
exchange rate? I know like $1 in America is worth how much in Canada?
a little bit more. It'd be like 125 or something. I don't know what it's at now. Usually it's around there. It's like it goes. Sometimes they're equal, but sometimes it's worth like a buck 50. I don't know where it's
Okay,
at now.
that's
But yeah,
the
it's
exchange rate. I don't know.
but still, like you say, whatever the number is, usually you're going to be making more money in the States anyways. People say that like for the same
Yeah,
job, you'll usually be making more and paying less tax by percentage. That's a general rule, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
1.23. Yeah, 1.23. I said 1.25 about. But yeah, no, there are definitely differences there. Yeah, but
Okay.
taxes,
Well,
and
that was
then
quick.
we pay in Quebec 15% sales tax. 15%
Wow.
sales tax. You buy something for a
Shit.
dollar, it costs $1.15. I'm telling you.
Wow. We pay
Uh,
in New York 8.875% sales tax, and we cry about that.
I
So
think
it's
that's
about
what they're
half.
paying in Ontario. It changes from province to province. Quebec is by far the highest. Next door, they're at
Well, New York, I think,
9%.
would be the highest in the states too.
Yeah, where I grew up, it's at 5%. And even then, it took a long
That's
time
not
before
bad.
they had a sales tax. Oh, Alberta has low taxes. They're known for that thing, yeah.
I have a friend in Alberta actually on
Hmm.
Facebook. Facebook friend in Alberta.
Yeah, they're usually
So that's
conservative
like,
folks. You
wait,
probably get along with them.
so
That's why
wait,
he's your friend.
where are you? You're Montreal, you said?
Montreal now, yeah, yeah.
So you're the same time zone as me. You're like directly north, right?
That's it, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
so
before I
Alberta
was
I
up there,
know is Alberta's like way out west. I think they above Iowa or
like Montana. I think Montana.
yeah,
I thought about
Montana,
it after
Iowa.
we
Yeah,
talked about, yeah, because we
two
went
time zones
once.
over.
That's it. I remember going to Montana one time in my life, and I'm like, oh, this is a lot like Alberta, where we were at, anyways. Like it's like mountains and stuff there, or
Yeah, well,
Idaho. It's kind of flat and mountains. Alberta, we got both. But you get Alberta, where it is like the prairies, and then there's some hills,
yeah.
and then boom, you get the Rockies. And we were living in the hills, like where I was at. It's kind of in the hills.
Okay.
So, anyways, that's where we're at, right before the big Rocky Mountains.
All
We had a
right. Well,
nice
I'm not
view
too
of that.
familiar with.
That's
Well,
it.
I'm not very familiar with Canada. I know a little bit. I know where it is on the map. That's
Yeah,
about it.
that's it. No, honestly, I don't know much. Like for me, I know that region and a little bit BC. So like the West Coast and then Montreal. And in between, I don't know anything about that. I've hardly been there. In the East, I don't know much about that. Again, hardly ever been there. So yeah, no, it's just a
Yeah, I haven't
huge country.
traveled.
And the North, I've never, ever, ever been to the big North, we call it, like the North Pole and all that. There's
Oh yeah,
people live
well,
up there.
it's too
I've never
cold.
been there. Oh, it's cold.
I couldn't imagine. I could. Yeah, summertime. I can't imagine what it would hit. And the winter's got to be
Here,
really, really cold.
it's like yeah, colder than here, longer winters, like it lasts 8 months instead of 6 months. And yet, the first people that came to North America, like first people ever, is like 15,000 years ago. And they came
Yeah,
around, as I understood it, from like Russia, walked over, like there used to be a land bridge there,
yeah. There's a land
and
bridge
then
between Russia and Alaska. Yeah.
right? And then they came in there and then they walked all the way down to South America. But the first people, or there's people that stayed up there 15,000 years.
Could you imagine that?
And they lived there. It was like, and now I complain when I go from my house to my car or my to the metro. It's like
Yeah, right.
15,000
Right.
years. There's no inner heating. Not only that, but there's not a lot of trees up there. Like hardly any once you pass a certain point. Hardly any plants and stuff. So you don't
Well,
have
we don't know what it was like
fires.
15,000 years ago, but they had woolly mammoths, and they could have
They have
made
these,
coats out
yeah,
of a
you're,
woolly mammoth.
oh yeah, and you're probably burning woolly mammoth poop because that probably burns pretty good. But still, basically, you don't
Okay.
have irregular heating. Like you don't have the
No,
heating that we
no.
have,
Right.
right? Oh, you're just, anyways.
Right.
So
I
it's
couldn't
crazy
imagine
to
that.
think.
So
But
no wonder
hey,
they lived like 20 years old and died. You had
well,
kids
and
at
then
12 years old.
you're gonna have them young. But
Yeah.
that humans are capable of surviving even that kind of extreme for
And it's amazing to me.
15,000 years ago without
Right?
electricity. Fucking weird, man.
And there was a comedian said, we like New York, we like the crime, we like the high taxes, but it's just not cold enough. Let's go out west and make it Ohio or Chicago. Yeah. Chicago,
Higher crime
Illinois.
and
Sorry,
colder,
Ohio. Yeah.
colder.
Phew. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I could. Yeah. It gets cold in New York. I can't imagine how cold it gets in Chicago.
Yeah, and it's windy. I've heard all I know is that it's windy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. No,
That's close to the Canadian border. You go in a little west
I
and
mean,
then
yeah, and we looked at it once because I've never driven. I always, whenever I go back to visit the family, I fly back, and we looked once to drive across the country, just look at what the possibilities were. And if you type it into Google Maps, it gives you like different suggestions, different possibilities. And if you take the route, so I'm going to put it here. So if here's Montreal and here's Calgary,
right.
there's two routes that you can take, and one's kind of it goes through Canada, so it goes a little bit like this, and the other one goes through the States and it goes through Chicago. But both of them,
Oh,
it said on the Google Maps, so it says one takes, I'm going to remember the right time, one takes about 40 hours and 34 minutes. That's the northern path. And the other path takes the same number of hours and 37 minutes. There was like 3 minutes difference if I passed through Canada or if I
oh.
passed through Chicago, because Chicago, like you
You know
say,
what?
it's very close to the border. So
Yeah.
it was the
Don't pass.
same.
Yeah. You don't want to go through Chicago.
Oh, I shouldn't.
Chicago is
No,
one of the
don't go
shitholes in
to
America. It's
Chicago.
terrible. The crime that
You
yeah,
should
it's
know.
a shithole. It's Democrat run. All right, we're getting all
It's
over the
almost
place now.
It's
We are
true.
all over
Oh,
the
well,
place now on this podcast. All right, you
oh,
think we should end it here?
pardon? I don't know. Pardon?
You think we should end it here?
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I was gonna look at my other thing. I had like a little, not a thing of topics, but
Yeah,
the
we've gone.
feed.
Yeah, we've gone
Yeah,
about
we
what,
could.
40 minutes, 45 minutes.
I
So
don't know
yeah,
how to check.
I think it's been enough.
Yeah, well, let's end it. Sure, sure. Let's end it here, but let's talk about, or let's plan on meeting tomorrow night. I'll try and
Yeah.
uh, I'll try and get in more around 11, and we could start chatting on maybe make an actual plan on what we're going to talk about. It doesn't have to. I like
We'll
this.
pick.
I
Yeah.
actually prefer this a little bit, but if you want to make a plan, have
Okay.
like a actual
Oh,
theme, we
well,
can do that.
if you can think of a topic, I'll try to see what we can come up with.
Well, something general, like last time, it was just kind of like, what do you mean by Holy Spirit? And it was interesting
Yeah.
because it was like trying to, come to a common definition of the term, right? Before I would hear it a lot, like Trinity and this and that. But actually, what are we talking about when we're talking about these little nudges or flashlights or whatever we're
Well,
talking
you
about
want
when
to
we're
talk
talking,
about? Okay.
you know?
How about this?
But we can
Tomorrow
pick
night we'll
something like
talk
that.
about.
Yeah.
Okay, Fraser. We'll talk about who the Holy Spirit is, how He influences us, and how He gave prophecies to the prophets. We can go through all that.
Okay, no, and that can be kind of a tutorial because that's the side of like when I talk about the Holy Spirit, it's just like, man, what it kind of means to me. But obviously, Holy Spirit has like a historical definition more or more concrete definition
It's a
than just my
biblical.
one. So
Well,
you
it would be
can
more of a
exactly
biblical definition that
a
we're talking about, not
biblical, yeah,
historical or yeah. So we're
and
talking
that
about
can be the one
biblical
that,
Holy
yeah.
Spirit.
And so in that case, it would be in my mind that kind of episode, and I don't know what you think about that. It would be more like you telling me not you telling me, but you can share with me what you know about that, the biblical definition. And then I just ask
Yeah,
questions
sure.
because, I can't say, no, the biblical definition is not that.
Yeah,
I'll probably say
right.
that, but I shouldn't because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But more kind of like a learning, no, anyways, a different kind of thing where you're giving more the biblical definition. And I might just comment on that or respond somehow to that rather
I
than
would love to get
politically.
Sean in that too.
It could be
I would love
nice.
to
Like
get
we
Sean
can.
in that one.
And I thought about that when I saw the thing. It's like there's no reason why when he jumps in, we can just, okay, now we've done 10 minutes. Let's cut it there. And then one of us can go on with Sean and do a little
Right.
continuation. I'm sure he gets fired up
Fraser?
right in the middle of our conversations. I don't want to
Yeah.
waste that.
I know. Maybe if you can get in contact with him tomorrow, see if he can start the podcast and we can join him and we can talk about this
Mhm.
topic because it'd be interesting.
Okay, it would be. For him, I'm sure we'd probably want to do it a little bit earlier. He doesn't like, and I
Yeah, I would
understand he
like.
doesn't
Yeah.
like to do it really late, but if that's the case, I might try and like I've got the little one, but again, I can put him in front of a movie maybe around 8 or 9. We'll see. Yeah,
Mine
I'll
works
see
for me.
with
Yeah.
Sean, see if we can organize something. I wonder where Luciano is too. He's kind of dormant for a
Oh
while.
yeah.
Oh, I'll talk to Sean tomorrow and text back and forth. Yeah, perfect. That sounds like a plan.
Okay, great.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, thanks, Frank.
All right, so I'll end it. You've now reached the end of Seeking Truth with Fraser and Frank. Take care, everybody. Big
Bye.
smile. I love it.